Hello, so my name is Elliot. I'm 33 years old. I'm one of the assistant coaches in the first team and my main role is the set pieces. So today we focused mainly on attacking corners and I worked especially with some players that need to deliver the corners. So the focus for this training was just to make sure that they are really precise in where they deliver the ball. And how I base it, it depends on a couple of things. It will depend on how many players I can get together. It will depend what day we are in the week, if we had a couple of days off, if it's a day before the game, or if it's a day where we worked really hard. And as well, it will depend on where in the session. So today it was at the end of the session, so I know the load needs to be a little bit lower, but I know I can give a lot of explanations. So set pieces for me is just the general term, and in set pieces you have all of the different parts that I need to take care of. Those parts are the kickoff, free kick, corners, throw-ins. So these are all different parts that fall under the term set pieces. There's a lot of different things I use. Mainly it's research on the computer, I use data as well. And then during the training session it will depend. I like to use Trackman. It's a software we've been using since this year here at the club that helps us to give us some objective data on how we kick corners, how we kick direct free kicks, how we kick penalties. And usually I combine it with an iPad where I show the players some data, but as well where I can show them some clips of what I really want to see. So it's something that came by time. So I was fortunate to start working with Trackman a couple of years ago. It started when I was working at Anderlecht. I then later used it at Burnley as well, and now I was lucky that the club would also want to work with it. So usually I try to take it out as much as I can. Like usually we'll be out on the pitch 2-3 days in the week, and it will depend what I use. So yesterday was the corners, today will be the direct free kicks, another day it might be the penalties. Satisfying. Satisfying for a couple of reasons, but the main reason is it's an exceptional quality. So we work a lot on direct free kicks as well with the players, but some of the things I always say to the players is they on the pitch need to make the decision. I'm not standing on the pitch, I'm on the side. So he in that moment felt that the goalkeeper was cheating and he could kick to the side of the goalkeeper, and I think in the end it was the perfect decision. So it depends. Usually as soon as there's a set piece I try to stand up just to show the players that I'm with them, but as well when I see something to make sure I can give them the information. So when it's defending corners, it's mainly to show them that I'm there with them and to motivate them. As usually on defensive corners we always have some players that don't really like to defend, that want to attack, what I can understand, but it's just to make sure that they are motivated and alive. And as well, if I see players are not in the right position, to make sure I can still adapt. Offensively, it's mainly making sure that we don't concede any transitions. So I just always make sure that the players that need to control the action are in the right positions, and then hopefully we score from it. So during halftime, it will depend. During the game, so what I'm doing as soon as a set piece is done, it might be a throw-in, a corner, a free kick. I look at the clip and I see what went well, what didn't go well. And then I put some feedback on it if needed. And then during the halftime, I will give or individual or team feedback, sometimes both. Team feedback might be something that we as a team did really good and we need to keep doing, or something that we need to be really careful on. Individual will be like a certain player is not in the right position, just to make sure he's in the right position and he understands what needs to happen. It's a good question. So yeah, I learned about it that apparently it's a pretty new role in Saudi Arabia. So I'm glad that I can be here and try to develop that as well. I think so far everything has been great. The players pick up the information and that's the biggest thing for me. It's that they get on board with it and they understand it and then they want to do it. Because it doesn't make sense if I want to do something and they're not following it. So I think set piece wise, they all understand the importance and they're all willing to learn. And I think in general the level has been amazing. Like the level that people have outside of Saudi Arabia of the football is way less than what the level actually is. And I think the Club World Cup was the biggest example of it. I think that how far Al Hilal went, I think it was good for the world to see, to understand that the Saudi level is higher than what most people think. So it all starts with analysis. So in the end, whatever I want to do, it will depend on the players that are there and the players that we have. So in the beginning, it's a lot of analyzing to see what each player can do and then trying to make sure that each player is in the best role. So some players will be focusing on kicking, other players will be focusing on scoring the ball, other players will be focusing on controlling transition to make sure we don't transition. So it's important that every player knows what he needs to do. And I think so far every player has been brilliant in understanding and executing what he needs to do. So for me, set pieces is wide. So there's a lot of parts in set pieces. So there's a couple of players that have been really good in training already in kicking. I'm thinking of Julian Weigel, who arrived, who's really consistent, but also, for example, a younger player like Saif is really consistent in delivering the ball. So I think for me there it's to make sure we keep improving that so they can become even more important for us. I'm thinking direct free kicks, for example, Lajami. Lajami has a really consistent and good direct free kick. He might not be the first one on the sheet to take them, but he's really good and he wants to work on it. So I think there's quite a lot of players that have showed some good qualities. It's now just to find the way and the right moment to put them on those different set pieces. It's a combination. I think every player that becomes professional has already a really good base of talent. But I think after all, it's something we can train. For me, kicking set pieces is a technical aspect. Heading the ball is a technical aspect. So it's all things we can train. So that's why we try to make sure that players train it. So one of the things we will put in place as well is the academy will start using TrackMan as well, just to make sure that by the time they get to the first team, hopefully we have some incredible takers, we have some good headers, and we try to make sure that those players come in the first team and eventually make it to the national team. No, not at all. For me, it doesn't matter what position the player is on the pitch. If he's the best shooter, he will shoot. So if the best shooter for direct free kicks is a centre back, then he will be shooting. I think that shooting the ball is not related to the position, but to qualities and how much they want to train and improve. Yeah, so for me, conceding a counter-attack is not something related to defenders, because when we are attacking the ball, usually the defenders are in the box and it's other players that need to control the transition. So for me, controlling this transition is a job to the players that need to do that. So for example, on corners, let's speak, for example, the goal that Nacho scored in the cup. So Nacho as a defender, his role is to put the ball in the goal. At that time, we had Gabri on the ball. His role is to put a good delivery. At that time, we had Tani, for example, at the outside of the box. His role is to make sure that we don't face a counter-attack. So for every set piece, there's specific roles for every players. And if they do it, what they have been doing so far, then we hopefully don't face any counterattacks. I was lucky to work with a couple of really good free kick takers already in my career. So I worked with Scott Twine, who is still in England, who is like an unbelievable direct free kick taker. I worked with Jacob Brun Larsen, who is still at Burnley, who was also incredible in direct free kicks. So for me, it's a difficult question. I think those two would already be on my list just because I know them and I know they would be able to help on that one. But then there's other great players. There's Declan Rice at Arsenal, who scored a couple of brilliant goals. There's Grimaldo at Leverkusen. I know they work with TrackMan as well, who scores incredible direct free kicks. So it's a difficult question, but there's a couple of... Look, Messi's on that list as well. He scores some great free kicks. So yeah, difficult question. I think he's one of the best, yeah. I think he's up that list. I think what the work he's doing as Arsenal has been incredible. But I think there's more coaches. I'm thinking of Austin Murphy, who is at Aston Villa, was also unbelievable. And I think there's other teams like Midtjylland, who has been creating set pieces already for a couple of years now. So it's all coaches who I look up to. So I have a couple of teams, a couple of coaches that I follow. Another coach is Mats Budgereit, the coach I had the honor to work with, who's now with the German national team. So I think there's a lot of good set piece coaches, and I think it's good for the football in general that more and more coaches are getting specialized in it. So the question was if Declan Rice free kicks are due to Nicolas Jover. I think there's always an influence for the set piece coach, so I think for sure he will have helped and they will worked on it. But I think in the end, and that's why I liked his interview after the match, he said that they worked on crossing the ball, but he in that moment felt that there was a possibility to shoot any shot. And I think that's the most important thing. We as coaches, we can give them as many information as possible, as many ideas, but the players are there on the pitch and they need to make their decisions. So if they at that moment feel I can shoot, then they're free to shoot. I think it's the same with Matteo's free kick. Usually we try to go over the wall, but if he feels the keeper might cheat and take a step and he goes for the goalkeeper side and he scores, then it's also only good for us that he goes for that option. So they need to take and have that ownership. For me, the main team, or the team that was the first with it, or what I know at least, is Midtjylland for me. It's for a couple of years already now that they have really been incredible in it. There were other teams, like you say, Stoke City was good in it. Burnley before was also an incredible set piece team. So I think there's a couple of teams that has been really good in set pieces, but for me the main team that I look up to is Midtjylland. For me they are like the big innovation in set pieces. So in the end that's a part of getting to know the players. So when I arrived I had a lot of conversation with the players just to find out how they like to do certain things, because in the end whatever I want to do I will depend on the players. If I don't have any player that can kick the ball, then it's difficult to score goals on corners if they cannot kick the ball. Luckily that's not the case. So then it's just a case of working. So mainly just trying with different players and seeing if they can get consistent in a special zone. Some players will be able to deliver the ball in every zone. Other players are more comfortable in a specific zone. So then it's up to me as a coach to find out what player is good in what and to put that all together. The best national team on direct free kicks. The first name that comes in my head is Juninho at the time. Juninho at the time was incredible in direct free kicks, and that's the first player that comes to my mind. To say that Brazil at the time was the best direct free kick team, I think it's a big statement, but it's the first name that comes in my mind.